Catus Maximus here. I'm not calling this a review because I couldn't find any PEX rings. My local hardware store was actually out. Anyway, a lot of modern construction now uses PEX plastic tubing. Then they use little rings, a bit thicker than this, to take and crimp on the tubing instead of using hose clamps. This is a superior tool, pocket PEX crimper. Those most common sizes, which I believe are 1/2, 3/4, and 1 inch. They still make this, actually surprising. This is even that old. What is hilarious is they have PEX crimper stamped on this one, and patent pending. Unfortunately, they lost that website, invalid web address. So kind of dissed. The newer ones are a bit more embossed, seem a little bit lighter weight. So I wanted to show what a slightly older version that was a bit heavier duty. We notice it's kind of interesting. This is actually a sintered steel tool, surprisingly enough. And using sintered steels, powdered steels, doesn't get you to quite the same crystalline grain structure, but it does allow you to use high-grade hardened steels and achieve very high definition on a tooling. This is chrome plated. We can see some of the chrome is peeling off. The newer one doesn't have these holes. And this is the way it came, except for they did have a little gauge to make sure you crush down enough on the crimper or on the connector. I don't have that little gauge. Essentially, you just got to make sure the jaws come all the way closed. It's the easiest way of dealing with it. I like this older version with the hole. First, it really comes apart pretty easily. Same with the newer one, and I don't really understand that. I think part of the idea is you can put it around tight to access places and then assemble it kind of in situ. But it would have been nice if they had some kind of like a little bar with pins so it would hold together just a little bit better than just something falling apart. And versus the giant crimpers or ratcheting crimpers, the idea of this is to be smaller. It's certainly not lighter weight, being solid sintered steel. So you're wondering, how do you crush it? It's missing a part. It isn't. It literally is advertised that you take a pair of vice grips, get this thing around the ring. We'll use, this is way too big of a ring, but the idea, it wouldn't be open that far. If you're using the right size, it's only going to be open about that far. And the deal is you'll use a pair of vice grips to crimp it down some, and then you'll have to tighten the vice grips and then crimp it down the rest of the way. And yeah, this has been used a few times like that. You can see it does kind of beat it up, but since they make it out of this powdered hardened steel, I guess it's supposed to be able to hold up. And you're only putting a limited amount of force on it due to the crimping action. So anyway, kind of an interesting idea. It's a pretty cheap crimping tool, I'll have to admit that. A lot of these PEX crimpers are pretty expensive, so this is an alternative, a much more budget alternative. Superior Tool still does make it. And just wanted to do a little bit of a video because I did notice that they had changed the design, so I did want to show one of the older school designs. I believe they're still made in the USA. This one obviously still was, and I always like to talk about some domestically made tools. I really appreciate everybody who's been watching and subscribing, and if you haven't subscribed, please do. Till next time, Catus Maximus out.